In the ancient waters of central Mexico, long before modern cities rose and concrete replaced reeds, there lived an amphibian that quietly rewrote the rules of biology. The Mexican axolotl is not a myth, not a laboratory creation, and not a failed evolutionary experiment. It is a survivor, a creature so specialized, so finely tuned to its environment, that it chose a radically different path from its amphibian relatives. While others left the water to breathe air and walk on land, the axolotl stayed behind, carrying childhood into adulthood and turning immaturity into evolutionary dominance. The story of the axolotl begins millions of years ago, when salamander ancestors navigated a volatile world shaped by volcanic activity and shifting lakes. In this unstable environment, flexibility was survival. Some salamanders adapted by speeding up development, leaving the water quickly. The axolotl did the opposite. It slowed time. Through a process known as Neoteny, it retained larval traits for life, external gills, aquatic breathing, and a body optimized not for land, but for still, nutrient-rich waters. This was not a weakness. It was a calculated evolutionary gamble. By remaining aquatic, the axolotl avoided terrestrial predators, conserved energy, and exploited an environment few others could dominate. Its body became a biological fortress of efficiency. Smooth skin allowed gas exchange directly with water. Feathery gills maximized oxygen absorption. A wide mouth enabled suction feeding with devastating precision. Every feature reflected a life designed not for speed, but for stability. Unlike most amphibians, the axolotl does not undergo a dramatic metamorphosis. It does not crawl onto land. It does not shed its gills. It does not abandon water. Instead, it becomes sexually mature while remaining physically juvenile, a phenomenon so rare that it has fascinated scientists for centuries. This eternal youth is not accidental. It is controlled by hormonal regulation, particularly the suppression of thyroid hormone pathways that trigger metamorphosis in other species. Behaviorally, the axolotl is calm, deliberate, and almost meditative. It drifts slowly through the water, responding to vibrations and chemical cues rather than visual dominance. Its eyes are small, its vision limited, but its sensory world is rich in subtle information. Tiny movements, pressure changes, and scent trails guide it toward food and away from danger. In this quiet realm, aggression is unnecessary. Patience is power. The axolotl's evolutionary success is inseparable from its habitat. Once widespread across multiple lakes in the Valley of Mexico, it became increasingly isolated as geological and climatic changes reshaped the region. Over time, its range shrank until it existed almost exclusively in a single lake system, Xochimilco. This isolation would eventually transform from protection into peril. Physically, the Mexican axolotl appears almost unreal. Its soft, almost translucent skin gives it an otherworldly presence, while its external gills resemble delicate coral branches, pulsing gently as water flows past. These gills are not merely decorative, they are complex respiratory organs capable of adapting to oxygen-poor environments. Combined with cutaneous respiration and rudimentary lungs, the axolotl can survive conditions that would suffocate most aquatic animals. The true miracle of the axolotl, however, lies beneath the surface. It is one of the few vertebrates capable of complete regeneration. Lose a limb, and it grows back, bone, muscle, nerves, blood vessels, and skin, perfectly reconstructed. Damage the spinal cord, and function returns. Even parts of the brain and heart can regenerate without scar tissue. This ability is not random or uncontrolled. It is governed by precise genetic programs that activate cellular dedifferentiation, turning mature cells back into a flexible state capable of rebuilding complex structures. Scientists have studied axolotls for over a century, yet their regenerative capacity continues to defy understanding. Unlike mammals, which respond to injury with inflammation and scarring, axolotls suppress immune overreaction and create a regenerative environment. Cells communicate, coordinate, and rebuild as if following an ancient architectural blueprint. This has made the axolotl one of the most important model organisms in modern biology and medical research. Dietarily, axolotls are efficient predators. They consume worms, insects, crustaceans, small fish, and mollusks, using suction feeding rather than biting. A rapid expansion of the mouth creates a vacuum that pulls prey inside before it can react. This method conserves energy and reduces risk, aligning perfectly with the axolotl's low-energy lifestyle. Digestion is slow but thorough, extracting maximum nutrition from each meal. Socially, axolotls are largely solitary, but not territorial in the aggressive sense. They tolerate close proximity, particularly in resource-rich environments. During breeding seasons, chemical signals guide interactions rather than physical displays. Males deposit spermatophores on the substrate, which females later pick up, a process that minimizes conflict and injury. Reproduction occurs entirely underwater. Females lay hundreds of eggs, attaching them to aquatic vegetation. These eggs develop rapidly, hatching into larvae that resemble miniature adults. There is no dramatic transformation, no departure from water. From birth to death, the axolotl remains loyal to its aquatic identity. Yet this perfect adaptation has a fatal flaw. It depends on stability, clean water, slow change, predictable cycles, and the modern world offers none of these. Today, the Mexican axolotl stands on the edge of extinction. Urban expansion, pollution, invasive species, and water diversion have devastated its natural habitat. Lake Xochimilco, once a vast network of clear canals and wetlands, is now fragmented, contaminated, and heavily altered. Introduced fish prey on axolotl eggs and larvae, while chemical runoff disrupts development and immune function. Ironically, while wild axolotls disappear, captive populations thrive. Axolotls are bred worldwide in laboratories and aquariums, becoming icons of science and internet culture. Yet these captive populations cannot replace the ecological role of wild axolotls. In their natural environment, axolotls regulate invertebrate populations, recycle nutrients, and serve as indicators of water health. Their loss represents not just the extinction of a species, but the collapse of an entire ecological narrative. Conservation efforts are underway, focusing on habitat restoration, pollution control, and the creation of protected refuges within Xochimilco. Scientists and local communities collaborate to rebuild canals, remove invasive species, and reintroduce axolotls into controlled environments. Success is uncertain, but the effort itself reflects humanity's recognition of the axolotl's value. The axolotl is more than an animal. It is a biological rebellion against inevitability. It refuses to grow up. It refuses to scar. It refuses to follow the rules written for others. In a world obsessed with progress and speed, the axolotl survives by remaining exactly what it has always been. To understand the axolotl is to confront a deeper question: what if perfection is not change, but balance? What if survival is not about becoming more, but about becoming enough?